Hey Matt, how's it going?
It's good.
Super good to have you here, man.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here. So you're obviously 24 years old. You got a company. You've got a lot of stuff going on. Where did this all start for you? Tell me a little bit more about your background. Are you born here in Sweden, or have you been living in Sweden your whole life?
Absolutely. Yeah, I was born and raised in Sweden, although my mother comes from New Zealand. So I've actually lived in New Zealand for like 8 months in my upbringing.
Okay.
But I've mainly been in Sweden. And yeah, I mean, my business wasn't something that I thought I would do. I mean, when I started doing what I do today, which is, running an IT firm who does a lot of programming. When I started coding, I didn't think I would make a business out of it.
When did you start coding?
I was 14 years old.
14.
Yeah, and I thought I was going to be a basketball star when I was 14. And I just did this Minecraft thing on the side. I love the game, Minecraft, just in general. But then I built this world, this online community. And then to do that, I needed to fund the whole server and stuff. So I was like, fuck, how do I do this? And then I was like, okay, I need donations. I need people to pay me. So then I set up a website. And that's when I started learning how to code. And then I've never looked back since.
Did you teach yourself how to code?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I just had to Google, good old
Everything
Google.
yourself.
Yeah, it was 2011. So it's a long time since then. I actually have YouTube videos still. They're still up, and there's like tutorials, me teaching people how to set up their own server. And they got so many views because it was so popular at that time. Minecraft was a new game. Yeah, so super fun.
But this is interesting because you said you thought you were you wanted to become a basketball player. So you didn't really feel wired to become an entrepreneur and do your own thing. Is that when did you start feeling like, wow, this is what I want to do and I want to run my own company?
Yeah, I mean, I still feel like it came early to me, but not at all in the way I thought it would be. So in high school, when I was like 16, 17, I started looking more and more into the academics of things, and I started leaning less into basketball and more into coding because I thought that was super fun. And I was actually getting injured in basketball over and over, so I was like, maybe I should do something else. And that's when I got into these YouTube videos of entrepreneurs in America doing their thing and inspiring and building businesses online. And I was like, this is super cool. And me coding websites, I was like, damn, I want to build an online business as well. So I was already back then when I was like 17, I was like, I want to sell websites online. That's what I want to do. And I never stopped since then.
When you say I was looking at these YouTube videos from entrepreneurs, who were you looking at? Like, who do you look up to?
Yeah, I mean, first glance, it was like just motivators. So there's the kind of street one called Eric Thomas, E.T. he's called, I think, yeah. And then another guy, I can't remember his name, but he's super old now. He's also a great public speaker. But basically what they do is self-development. And at the same time as I was seeing that, I was also seeing Facebook being built and Twitter, Snapchat, all those things. I was seeing a clear trend. I was like, I want to do this.
Now, who is somebody that you look up today? Now, let's say if there would be one entrepreneur or two entrepreneurs that you're like, I want to become like them. Who do you think it would be?
I would say definitely Gary Vee. He's a guy I've been listening to for so long and consistently. All of the other entrepreneurs I know a little bit about. I know their story, like Elon Musk, Steve Jobs, etc., etc. I feel like they're super inspiring, but I've dedicated most of my time to listening to Gary Vee because I feel like he speaks the truth and he's a true entrepreneur.
And coming back to your life here in Sweden, did you go to college? You did go to college, right?
Yeah, I went, yeah.
Did you complete the whole course?
Oh, no, I actually dropped out.
Okay.
I dropped out after I had a 5-year program to get a master's within computer science. And then after 1.5 years, I started my company with my 2 co-founders. And 1.5 years after that, so 3 years into college, I got a bachelor's degree. And I was like, now business is getting super fun. I got some kind of degree. So I was like, the plan was just to build a business from the beginning. That was what I wanted. That's why I started university, like just to get connections and start a company. And I had that. So I was like, fuck it, I'll drop out.
Okay. And do you think it's worth it for somebody that is or wants to be an entrepreneur to go to college in this day and age?
This is a very common
Yeah, it's a
question.
big question. I want to hear your opinion about that.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you can get great network, and it's a good start to go to one of these big brand schools like KDH. I have great connections today in my business because I went there, and it's a great brand to have behind your name. So when I talk to clients, they're like, okay, but where do the people that work for you come from? Yeah, they come from KDH. Or they're like, all right, that's high quality. So that's worth it in a sense. But education-wise, like the knowledge you get, not at all.
Yeah.
Like I would rather just get to know people who are driven, like as 20%, 30% of my week, and then 70% of my week teach myself my own skills to build my business.
Yeah.
If I could choose, that's what I would do.
Developing your own skills.
Yeah.
Okay.
And like make my own university.
Okay, I get it. So coming back to your life today, did you start that tech company straight away, or because you said you have two co-founders, Marcus and Rasmus, but you've told me before that you worked on an app. What was the name?
Study guide.
Study guide.
Yeah.
And what inspired you? And what is it? What did the app do? And what inspired you guys to make that type of app?
I mean, we saw a clear trend in all of our studies. My co-founders and I, we know each other from back in the basketball years, and all of us kind of went into university and felt like, shit, this is actually a lot harder than high school. And in order to make it and still, run a business alongside that, we had to develop great study skills. And we realized that, study skills are communicated so badly in like high school and lower levels. So we were like, how can we make this better communicated to younger people in a format that they understand? And the format was, of course, the phone.
Yeah.
So we were like, let's make this app, make it easy for them, not have this old professor talk about study skills. Let's make it fun. And we did that, and it turns out it was the hardest thing to sell to the hardest fucking audience.
Yes,
it was you're selling studies to people who don't want to study, to young people who don't want or can't pay anything. So that was like the hardest thing to start out with.
Was that like the biggest challenge for you as well? Like, how do we sell this to people?
Yeah, it was super hard. I mean, we talked to schools, states, but all like the more tangible processes of selling this was to go through like a 5-year process. And none of us were really prepared for that.
So when did you make the decision from we're doing this until like, okay, maybe it's time to quit and try and do something else, the business that you're running today? When did you make that shift? Was it something you discussed with the three of you? Or did you take time off to think about it yourself, or how did you do that?
We actually had a great resource here. We had a mentor, he's called Philip McCree, and he helped us along the way set clear milestones of the app. Like you have to meet these measurements in order to know if you're going the right path or if you're not. And we kept failing on the monetization goals over and over. And then the last meeting we had was in October 2020. And that was like, we did not reach our monetization goals for like the 5th or 6th time. And we were like, fuck, it's gonna take a long time before we can capitalize on this. And we had a really serious conversation between the co-founders, like 2-3 hours, like, do we wanna build a business or do we wanna build an app that's gonna work in 2, 3, 4, 5 years?
Yeah.
And it was a super tough discussion.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I can imagine.
Like,
because you've been working on it for so long. And
since 2017. That's so long time. 2017 to 2020, we worked on that thing. And time, money, everything. We had 7 people in the company at that time.
And looking back, do you regret not keep on going with the app, or?
No, we're amazing because we did that thing.
Yeah.
Because we learned how to sell to a really hard audience to sell to. And we learned to sell something that's super hard to sell to that audience. And that just upped our standard to a level which we feel like it's super easy to sell to other businesses today, because our standard was just so abruptly like high of like, how do we break this barrier and really get the sale?
In your company today, it's you, Rasmus, Marcus, and then you have how many employees?
Roughly, I mean, I'd say we're roughly around 10 people today.
10 people,
We're still a lot of people who are employed hourly. It's to reduce risk, and we get a lot of students who are driven, want to do things, want to take time and learn from us.
Yeah.
But they're not ready to do the full-time commitment thing.
Yeah.
So we're around 10
I wonder if
people.
your priorities have changed from the beginning of running the company. For example, I think in the beginning you focus on growth. I don't know how you guys did that, and now you're trying to more focus on having a healthy, good culture in the company. Is that something that you experienced, like a shift in priorities?
For sure, yeah. I feel like the more I've gotten into running a company, the more I've been cautious about what I do with the people around me.
Yes.
And how they're feeling, how they're doing, because I'm getting so conscious about like the outcome, and it's so dependent on how people are doing. So I'm becoming more of a like just calling people up and being like, hey, how are you doing?
Yeah.
How's your girlfriend? How's your boyfriend?
Is that how you guys keep or establish or develop a good culture within your company? How do you guys go around that? Do you have any time next to work? Are you going exercising together? Do you do anything together, or? We
actually have a peer development program that we do, which is we give all the employees free hotel breakfast for like every other week.
Wow.
We sit down, we have black notebooks, and we write our goals 3 months, 1 year, and 3 years from now.
Okay.
And we discuss. And then we have some short-term goals that are like between these breakfasts, so these 2 weeks that are supposed to move us towards the right direction.
Okay.
And we check up on that and talk about why did we celebrate when we reach a goal and why we feel like we didn't reach some goals.
Okay, I think this is a great thing. So you set goals and you write them down every other 2 weeks.
And we measure it, like, and we really make sure to give people we have partners who like, okay, Aaron did great this week. He managed to hit the gym. He managed to film 6 hours of content on Saturday. He hit all the cylinders, and everybody like gives you props. Like, good job.
Okay. One last question, maybe. If there was one thing you would advise to a young entrepreneur that is just starting out, what would it be? What would you say? Like, this is what you should do. This is my biggest number one advice.
I feel like a lot of people get caught up in like, oh, I got this amazing idea, and then they dream like 10 years from now, and like they have this, but oh, I'm gonna scale it and it's gonna be magical, it's gonna be the best business ever. And they keep being in that dream phase, and then some people just leave it there. Some people get anxious because it feels like such a big goal, and then they stop. So either they stop because they just drop it, or they stop because they get anxious. And I feel like a lot of people could just benefit from just looking at, okay, what can I do this month to move my goals forward of running this kind of business this month, and then 2 weeks from now just focus on that, like what's next.
So
the small things, because I feel like so many people get paralyzed by looking at the big steps, and they're like, okay, in 6 months I'm gonna do this. It's like, it's too far. You're not gonna get anywhere.
But you agree that with the fact that you think you have to think big, but small steps at a time.
Make sure, when you're starting out, I mean, experienced entrepreneurs can think big and make big plans. But if you're starting out, it's your first business, make sure to prioritize like the tasks at hand right now. Because there's a lot of people just dropping it because they haven't run a business before, feels too big, and then eventually they're like, eh.
So one last thing I want to get into before we get out and head off for lunch is, what do you think is unique about your business? Is there anything like that you think you stand out of or away from the competition?
I mean, there's it's not unique in a sense, but it's not a lot of companies that do this. And basically what we do is that we care like a lot about the end result. And as companies get bigger, usually they care less because it's more of a corporate structure. There's less people having stake in the pie. And it's really hard to still care when you're 200, 600, 1,200 people. That's really what makes results, and that's what keeps clients coming into us. But also, I think it's our advice, because we did this journey with our app, 2017 to 2020, developing this app, going on every single possible bomb there is when it comes to like making mistakes. And we got that with us, and at the same time, we used KDH Innovation, a pre-incubator for innovating new systems. We used our knowledge, talked to them about it, and learned so much about innovative IT. And now we take that with our care for other companies and really make our solutions cost efficient and really give great advice. And that's why they keep coming.
I can imagine you get quite a fair bit of big clients, big companies. Do you ever turn down any big clients, companies? How do you go around that?
Yeah.
Has it happened to you before? Or?
Yeah, it happens. We've turned down both small and big clients. Usually small ones because they're more of a headache than they are good for the company.
Yeah.
So they will take more time than it will actually give us. And so it's not that serious, or we feel like this client has a small budget and really high standards, and it's not worth it for us.
Yeah.
And when it comes to big clients, it's usually because we feel like we are not the proper company to give you the right value. So we always come in, we always analyze their situation, and we literally tell them, you need something else. And that's because we care.
Yeah.
We give them great advice, like you should do a marketing agency for this.
Okay.
You don't need us.
Yes.
We're not out for the money. We're out to giving great advice and getting results.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you so much, Matt, for having a chat with me.
Yeah.
And I'll see you in the next one, brother. Let's have some lunch now.
Yeah. Thanks, bro.